Welcome to Dutch Guy's Garage. This is part 4 of our 77 Aspen build.
Hey kid, don't ever let them get inside your head. Life instead of everything you know that you can get. Don't let them guide your life towards a grip.
What do you say we get thrown out of an Applebee's?
Now, for those that have been following along, this is not a 77 Aspen. This is a 77 Aspen donor car, which identifies as a 87 Chrysler 5th Avenue. And for those that don't know, the underbody, as far as floor pans, frame rails, everything is the same as a Plymouth Valori or Dodge Aspen, all the way up until we get into these quarters and our extra 4 inches in the floor pan, which is very easily dealt with. So this prime example, if you tune into a past episode, was you driven, or not driven, but drugged out of a junkyard by me and Dougster at Dougster's Wolverine Garage. This car is primarily rust free. I've yet to find much of anything as far as rust. That's kind of what M bodies are known for. The Dodge Diplomat, 5th Avenue, and the Fury. And I believe the Canadians got the Caravel. So we're going to start dissecting this thing to plug into our 77 Dodge Aspen. So let's bring you in here and show you exactly where we're going to be cutting. As you can see, the car's had pretty much a good haircut so far. We've started dissecting the B-pillar and kind of called that quits for the moment because there's a lot more spot welds in there than I thought. And my spot weld cutter drill bit has kind of gotten dull despite the bacon grease. So we have a good solid floor pan. Ignore the garbage, we're slowly ripping more and more stuff off, but the thought process is all of this is all F-body. So we need to get the rest of this nonsense off of here. So we're going to cut the quarters off. We're going to go along that trunk to gas tank seam, and then we're going to need to dissect that rear floor pan and get that out of the way. So this is going to be rough cutting for today, so we can kind of get that 77 Aspen and this somewhat squared away. Now this really hasn't been done before, so it's just been talked about. So we're going to be doing it and you guys get to watch. So this is either going to be a giant catastrophe or it's going to be an amazing success. So at this point, let's get our old trusty Sawzall. Let's do some cutting. Now, as you can see, we're getting skinnier. And well, we've dissected a nice rear patch, because we can always use quarter patches because those are always nice to have. As far as we need that side, because they're the station wagon over there, even though it's from Mississippi, the gas or the quarters on those are really flat. So when you fill it full of gas and you overfill it, like my wife likes to do, it gets a little spot of rust right there at the bottom. So let's use 10-year newer steel and we'll fix that, because that car has got to go in for wood grain relatively soon. So we might as well fix that rust and repaint that lower quarter before we get wood grain. And that car is like pristinely perfect. For those that don't know, that is our 79 Valori station wagon, nicknamed Penny, because it's copper, and that's what you call a car that's copper. So anyway, we're going to finish cutting this the rest out, trimming along this frame rail. That guy is going to go into our stash of parts. I've never had an F-body with a rotten frame rail, but the day may come and this frame rail is perfect, just like the rest of the car. So the car has drawn a little bit of blood already, because it's not a Dodge, it's a Chrysler, and they like to draw blood just like Plymouths. So let's get this wheel arch out of the way, we'll get the trunk out of the way, get all this out of the way, and then this thing we set up on our Hobo Freight rollers with jack stands, so when this thing decides to go, we won't risk damaging any of this guy over here. So let's get to cutting. We'll be back in a little bit. All right, we are into the final stages. A hell of a mess. We're there, everywhere, on the floor. And yes, I know, the famous red epoxy floor didn't work out. Manufacturer had a recall, so all their activator that was included in the product has failed. So all this crap is slowly peeling off the floor. It's really great. It's my favorite. So all of this, with their money, is getting replaced with garage tiles. So yeah, don't want to hear anything more about the floor. It's a sensitive subject. Sensitive. Anyways, so it's gotten skinnier, and we're at the point now with having, besides a horrible mess, we're going to start meandering. We should be able to split this thing in half in the next about 10 minutes. So that thing is going to go outside, and this thing is going to get slid up to that. So that's where the old jack stands come in place. So should be sitting pretty good. So we'll come back in a few minutes after we get that out of the way, and we should be able to be pretty good. All right, next day or whatever it is now, forward progress. So I'll show you guys where we're at now. So as you can see, we got a door hung, we got a fender hung. We're kind of figuring out where we got to be, but we did learn some interesting facts along the way after playing around with the tape measure. As you can see, the rear of our car is now gone, and the initial thought was this rear pan is gorgeous. And if you go over to our regular car, it's got all this nasty tar on it and stuff like that, and we're planning on keeping that. But we got to playing around with the tape measure, and as you can see, these are spot welds. So this floor pan right here is 12 inches. This back here, we can go triangulating off our humps and the trunk floor seam and our seat belt bolts, which are tied into a brace that hasn't moved between this car and this car. We did find out that from here all the way back, that is the same between coupe and sedan. So the issue there lies in this front floor pan. This measures 16, so we have 4 extra inches from here till this seam here for the front floor pans. So we need to lose that 4 inches. So I was looking at it, and our rear subframe goes all the way up in here. There's a whole bunch of spot welds. We know that one is good. This one was also good, but it seems like a lot of work for tar, just tar removal. Started wire reeling that one last night, and it's going to be fine for what we're doing. So instead of doing 30 more hours of work drilling out spot welds and dissecting that, and then risk losing our triangulation on the rear half of the car, we've decided that we're going to leave myself 1.5 inches here, cut here, so it'll be a lap to lap this into the rear of that car. That's my thinking. That's going to be the best spot to put everything, right there at the would be the front of the back seat, so it stays away from interfering with any of the rear subframe. So then there lies the fact of losing these 4 inches. So at this point, this is going to get cut off. That's going to fall off, and then we're going to come through and do another cut right in here. It just so happens our floor creases are 4 inches apart, so I'm thinking we might be able to lop 4 inches off, and the tunnel is going to be really fun in making that work. But I think this is going to be the best course, because Also the fact that our seatbelt hole is right there. So that needs to move. So we can't just lop everything off the front, unfortunately. So it's all going to be in the middle here. So I'm thinking it should be fine. But right now I'm getting this cut, and then we got our door hung so we can figure out where that is in proportion to everything, which is almost pretty close to where our cut is. But as far as where this is, those rockers come up further, so we can actually cut that rocker further forward than our floor cut. We're going to throw things on the ground at the same point. So the garage is a disaster at the moment. But yeah, so we're going to get this cut off of here, and that'll come off. And then I'm thinking we're going to re-square the car, probably get a door hung over there, and then we should be able to bring that one up and start getting our final adjustments to figure out how we can finally get this thing tied in. So I still got to, once we get the final cuts on this, we will be able to start laying in our what do you call it, the rocker sleeves. Yeah, rocker sleeves. So we're going to tie those in and spot weld those in so our rockers are back to being structural. So yeah, I'll see you guys in a minute. Alright, so we have lined up this half, and figuring some things out. And we're at the point now where I need to take the rest of the dash out, and then I need to get this A-pillar off. These A-pillars kind of suck because there's like 4 pieces that all come into one, and they don't dissect well. So I'm gonna have to figure out a way to get that all apart. Haven't figured that thought process out yet, but we're gonna get there. So for now, all this is gonna get out of there. All right, we're back, and progress has been good. So as you can see behind us, it's pretty Aspen-y, much less Fifth Avenue-y. So let's spin you around and take a gander. So as you can see, besides the shop being a mess, but it's there. It's there. The only thing that has to be finished is I could not mate the lower section in with the top section. So that A-pillar transition there, that's my last thing I have to complete. I got that figured out. So tired, don't feel like screwing with that tonight. So everything's braced up, door fits good. The floor seam is figured out as far as where that's going to overlay. As you can see, drain plug's there, seatbelt hole is there. So yeah, now we can finish doing all the things that we wanted to do before the car was rusty, including that stuff. So yeah, I'm happy. It's been like 10 years in the making, and yeah, it's got a look to it. It's got a look. So yeah, I think this is going to be a good pause for the weekend. As you can see, there's some scoopage that we've been working on, but yeah, that is a 77 Dodge Aspen made out of a 87 Chrysler Fifth Avenue. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. As always, this is Dutch Guy's Garage, and most importantly, always remember, these things, they don't move until you do. And this is a perfect instance of the 80 of the HD taking full frame and saying, let's get this done, because it made all the brain cells happy. And we did it. And essentially, I know this video seems long and the last one was last week, but we did this in 7 days. 7 days from junkyard to this. So it can be done. It can be done. So, yeah. Don't be afraid of it, guys. See you in the next one.